Hello. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you said you're going off. Hello. Welcome back to the ESA Cup. We are here for a quarter-final matchup. It's finally the playoffs time, Joe. We've been looking forward to it all season long. We've had our Swiss, and we're now here between the top 8 teams to find out who our victors are going to be. Tonight, we have a best of 3 for you. We will be covering Nexus77 taking on MolotovGang. And honestly, I think this is one that there's a little bit of excitement about, Joe. Okay. Well, we are just sorry, a quick issue, but I'm here to run this through.
I'm alive.
This is a double elimination bracket, so this is not the end of the run for the team that loses here tonight. But I will pass back over to my good friend Pooble to talk a little bit about the matchup we have tonight for you.
I'm going to blame everyone except myself for that tech issue there. Was not my fault,
yeah.
I can assure you. But it's a grudge match, right? We've got one player in particular to look at on Nexus, Duet, two-time ESA Cup winner, won with Entropy back in Season 7, I believe, and then just last season won with who else but MVG. They end up leaving that squad, so we've got this rematch here, this match for Duet to prove that he made the right decision, right? He already hopped from Entropy to MVG and did a lot better on that second team. Has he managed to repeat history here and leave this team that has kind of reached its plateauing phase and hopped onto a newer, hotter squad of players? Can he prove that he's made the right decision here?
Yeah, it has been interesting, right? Because MVG, a team that you'd always look at as right at the top, and this season kind of have had a bit of a longer road getting there. They didn't come through the 3-0. It took them a little bit longer right to that 2-2 bracket to finally punch that final spot in. And so, we're looking at them coming into the season, a lot of expectations on them doing very well. And they haven't been the team that we saw previously from them. Do you reckon Duet leaving is part of that? Or is he just sort of finding the right time to make this new move and kind of set himself apart, right? He's already done it on Entropy, now he does it on MVG, and now he picks up a third team. If you can do it on that triple, I mean, that's Canadian level, right?
Sure, the comparisons might be made, but MVG is important to note. Last season, despite winning it, they also had a bit of a slow start, right? They lost their opening series to LDL. They then end up going the same way, in fact, with that 3-2 scoreline into the playoffs. So perhaps this could also just be a repeat of history for them, that they took a while to get things going, but now that they're in playoffs, now that the light's really shining on them, they could be a lot stronger. But yeah, it's something you've got to consider, right? They've gone through roster changes, and those players that have left have found a bit more success than that original roster. So that could be something hanging on their minds for this matchup.
And we have our map veto completed as well. We figure out where this best of 3 is going to take place. And I mean, the band's nothing too unusual at the start, right? I think somewhat expected. Skyscraper into Clubhouse. This is where it gets a little bit spicy, right? That Skyscraper picked up first. We've seen it as a map where teams have really struggled on those attacks, Joe. They're coming in. You have to find a way to break that deadlock. You don't want to be starting this map down, especially as MolotovGang coming in to pick it. Nexus, they're going to be choosing to start out on that defense, force Molotov to come straight to them from the offset of this series. It's quite a difficult one to try and pick into.
Yeah, attacking Skyscraper can be a real nightmare if you aren't absolutely clinical with those roam clears. Because of the way the map is structured, you end up really funneling between these two key points, and that's really easy for the defense to actually counter from there. So it's going to be a real test to see if they can quickly roam clear and how well they can deal with those problems of getting through those two specific doorways towards Dragon and towards Drum. If they can deal with that problem, they should have a pretty easy job getting those rounds on the board, and then that makes it even easier when they go onto their defensive sides and they get that slightly simpler job themselves. They need to be racking up rounds early, though, because, man, if the momentum starts to get away from them, even when they're defending, it could be too late.
And this is always one of the difficulties, right? People say, oh, it shouldn't matter whether you start on attack or defense because you get to play both. And in theory, you just win your 6 defenses. It doesn't work like this. Like, we are human beings. And if you are staring down a 5-1 or a 6-0 scoreline, it's so much harder just to get that confidence to go into your second half, starting on defense, knowing there's not really that same room for error. But the rest of the map bands, less funky, should we say, right? You've got your Clubhouse coming in as map number 2. That's Nexus picking it up. They want to play that fundamental siege, a map we've seen plenty of times throughout the season. And we get to kick off. We were so close to potentially a consulate, maybe a lair, something a little bit more interesting, but we have a cafe to end things off. So another map that both these teams very, very comfortable with. I'm expecting this to be a real nail-biter of a map if we end up reaching that decider, if it's needed between these two teams. Because you never know, right? Like, we've had very close games so far this series. You look at some of our games from Swiss, even with Nexus, right? They've had games double overtimes, but it hasn't needed that map 3. They've been able to close it out when the going gets tough. Maybe we do need that cafe.
Yeah, Cafe, the most played map of the season that's been picked 21 times now, including this. And also, by far and away, the most played in terms of rounds. 191 rounds of Cafe played this season.
A lot of
I'm
Cafe.
sure that's a prospect both you and I would love to play, 191 rounds of Cafe. But compare that to the second most picked map of Nighthaven, only 148 rounds. So these are long maps, and you compare that to the start of Sky, only played 6 times, it's less than 10 rounds per time, 53 rounds total. So these have actually been quite quick blowout maps of Sky. So particularly for MVG, if they don't want to be dealing with that. They do not want to be getting swept on their attacks and then losing a couple of those defenses. They really need to be putting up the work early on, because a quick loss there could send them spiraling through this series.
I mean, we were talking a bit before about changing backgrounds, to bring us away a little bit. And what do you say? Do you like the little upgrades that we've made since last time?
Again, I'm convinced every broadcast you do just change house. It's a different room behind you every time. Yeah,
I actually just go around my neighbors. I just go, hey, really sorry, I had to borrow a random room. Can I just come in? I'll be 2 hours in and out, and then I leave again. It's a lengthy process, but
keeps things interesting.
Skyscraper, it also got reworked. It's come back. No more of these outside balconies. I mean, it was a long time ago this map got reworked. We're really stretching for the segue on this one, but I'm a big fan of it. You've highlighted some issues with the attack.
Yeah.
How are you feeling coming into the bans? Right. This is something that changes Skyscraper not too much, not a lot.
MVG wants shields on the board, right? And you can say that about every map, but like shields really help with the bottlenecking issue of Skyscraper, right? If you can just plop a Monty through one of those doorways, it gives you so much more information, so much more pressure. With the Blackbeard getting banned, that is your main powerful shield operator taken off the board. You've still got Blitz, you've still got Monty. So there are some tools that the attack can use. With the Decaibi as well, that means your roam clear is going to be taking more time, and that can also impact the attacks here. So with an Azami ban, at least that is some amount of that time wasting cut away. I'd like to see something like the Valk band here, just because there's so many nooks and crannies on Skyscraper where you can fit those little black eye cameras, and the information can make all the difference on these really tight rounds that happen on Skyscraper. So I'd like to see something maybe Intel-based taken off the board here. So there's the Clash. That is a very intriguing ban there. Just looking at the statistics, that's actually been banned 16 times so far this season. So a lot of these teams not wanting to deal with that, and you can't really blame them, right? The information given by that Clash, and we've talked about Intel there with traditionally with something like the Valk, but just having a player who can sit there completely invulnerable from the front and just observe the attack and delay them and cause this distraction, it can be a real nuisance and a really important part of a defense.
It's also interesting because it is one of the best tools to deal with shields, right? And we've only got the Blackbeard taken away, still plenty of opportunity for both the Blitz and the Monty. Should MVG starting out on their attacks want to bring it, Clash is one of those tools that's so good at dealing with them. It is like built into her kit to be the shield that stops the other shields. So losing that, and again, we talked about the choke points being super important. You can stand in drum and just zap away, or stand on top of shrine and give so much information from relatively safe positions. You know, this isn't a chalet where you can get caught off from windows on the side. It's a big commitment to remove something like a Clash, and I think that's partially why, as sad as I am on a personal level to it taken away, I think it makes a lot of sense for Nexus77.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's gonna, in theory, anyway, speed up that process massively. That the attacks need to be pretty swift at, and
5 seconds left.
You would want to see a fast pace here, because if you get bogged down that roam clear, these sites can be so difficult to actually hit directly as well. Heading into the start of this round, I guess the other important thing here to mention, which seems to be quite an important thing in general in Siege nowadays, no shields on the attack. These things are so powerful, so potent, not being brought here. Could it be a bit of overconfidence, or could it be a specific strat? We're going to have to wait and see how MVG choose to approach this. But the thing to note that there's not going to be any real easy ways of getting in without taking a gunfight here.
A little bit of a peek for a spawn peek earlier from Nexus, but they've droned it out. It's safe to start walking through, and Gridlock making very quick progress, completely catching out. Duet looking for a second, but they escape back into T, holding an aggressive angle, but what a pre-fire. As Becky goes to the grave, looking for a third, as they just keep falling into the eyes of Gridlock. Eventually dealt with by Ramai, and Trixon just gonna run away. Still tucked away, but eventually dealt with as well. Flank around from T, right into on top of that. So Nexus77, you started off at a tremendous advantage, nearly getting yourself, I mean, off to a great start, right? But immediately swept away by the Gridlock.
Yeah, just over-aggression. A complete wash there, aside from that one trade, but that didn't really matter at the end of the day, right? We've a great play, absolutely phenomenal play there from Izan, just running in, getting those picks. But for Nexus77, why are we just taking the 1v1s here? The attack has to come to you. They have to come into these situations you've constructed for them. And yet you're taking gunfights on their terms? We need to be doing a lot better than this. Skyscraper's so great for stalling out the attack just due to the way that the map itself is structured. So why is everyone just running at these two guys and losing their bodies? That's what the question that's really buzzing around in my head. And luckily for Nexus, very easy fix for that. Just rein it in a little bit. So I'd hope to see that heading into round 2.
Yeah, I mean, Hassan just walking forwards, right? I mean, they have drones going in front of him, so he has that information. I really love that hot droning. It's something that, again, it's quite a difficult thing to do for how straightforward it sounds, right? It's like, just put the drone in front of the guy walking forwards first. It sounds really easy, but so many teams consistently don't get it right, and you can see the information that just gets delivered, and that leads into very crucial picks. A lot of space, the extension that they're trying to go for, all cut away within seconds, really. And I mean, hey, look, you said MVG, do they need the shields? If you're able to get gunfights, you're able to start walking through the map without it. No, not really.
Attackers are yeah, they've certainly proved me wrong so far, but again, it was down to Nexus getting really cocky, really over-aggressive. Maybe that was just a bit of a measuring stick round here, Ben. Maybe they determined that they do have to pay former champions MVG a bit of respect here. Who'd have thought that? Who'd have seen that coming? And already, we're seeing a couple warning signs, right? That wall was open, there was a spawn peek attempted there, so maybe Nexus haven't learned their lesson yet.
Again, going for the cross side of the map. I like to see this from MVG. They're a team that understands the importance of getting as much control on Skyscraper as possible. You want that early foothold, and you know, it's a difficult map to enter. Why make it harder for yourself by forcing all 5 defenders to look at you? You pick one of the sides, it's 2 or 3 people, much more manageable to break down and deal with.
And we're seeing this slower approach from MVG here. Lacking the hot drone so far, though, Aina is getting that intel, and Isan again with another opening pick. Fantastic. He's traded out a lot sooner, but they can't stem the bleeding fast enough. Variox cutting up Ishak there, getting immediate aggression towards the site. They've claimed Dragon entirely now, and that's putting the defense on the back foot. And with Becky attempting that flank getting droned out, it's even worse for Nexus here again. They're always having to take these fights on MVG's terms. That shouldn't be happening for the defensive side.
They've given up the deployable shield on Shrine as well. They've had to fall back, afraid of this aggression through Terrace. And it's just been short up. Will eventually fall back after popping the Vulcan shield. But again, time still being bitten away. They're holding tight inside a drum too. So these choke points that really grind out attacks, doing a phenomenal job to buy next time. And he swings through and the cover lets him escape as well. How's Becky able to do it? Eventually just push up at the bearing 9 and take the one-on-one gunfight. That's drum dealt with, still 2 defenders, and they have good positioning. The back of T now getting aggressive at the top of the restaurant stairs as well. But understand that that time is a pivotal aspect for Nexus.
Yeah, 50 seconds. With Aina low on health, with that Nitro still in pocket, there's potential for an indirect kill here, narrowly avoiding the gunshots as Duet. Getting more of these lines of sight as well to repel this attack. Nexus just have to wait here. The clock is still ticking down. MVG have almost stalled out, but we're seeing this aggression again not paying off. MVG capitalizing on it every single time. Duet swings wide, gets 1 versus 2 here, and Aina still very low on HP as Duet tucks into that corner. There's potential here for the clutch ban. with so much power around this site. We've got Variox looking right towards Jet, but he doesn't realize. Ana's trying to bait him out. They need to get the plant down. They need something to happen for them, and they still don't realize he's in the room. Variox misses again. The Nitro goes out, and somehow Duet's about to do the 1v2. He just needs to hide, and Ana's still just holding apples. Nexus is clutching up.
Why we just stood outside? I'm sorry, we can't be in a situation in a 1 versus 2 and just wait on the clock. It's fantastically played by Duet. He just knows he has to wait on the timer. You have a Nitro Cell in pocket. It's all in your control in spite of the fact that you're tucked into a corner in a 1 versus 2. Amazing understanding of the line of sight that they set up themselves. That head hole on the T wall. They know exactly what angle it's going to show to the attacking lineup. So he knows, I'm tucking tight, I'm obscured by the bomb chassis, I can wait for the plant to go down. I think you've got to be way more aggressive there as the attack. You have to try and hunt him down. I know in theory you want to sit and get that diffuser down, but you're such a precarious position. You could be swung from the corridor on the door frame. Maybe you just get nitro-celled over the top of the wall, or like we saw over the top of the bomb chassis. Fantastically done to play out for that clutch. But again, it all stems down from Nexus understanding what they need to do in that situation where they've already lost so much. They don't get too panicked. They play a nice, sensible bit of aggression. They push up into terrace. They're looking for an opportunity to retake some space and mess with the flow of MVG. And then they play for chokes. And then they peel back and they put their Vulcans. Again, all of this is done to buy time to clutch out a round.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Yeah, credit to Duet there as well, just bucking that trend of the over-aggression. You honestly can't blame MVG too much because every single other situation they've seen these defenders swing out, right, when they don't need to. They expect that again, but Duet finally just does something a little different. Pays off beautifully. It's still not deterred. He's immediately rushing into this building once again on that gridlock. Trying to enter narrowly, sees the head of Ishak, but he manages to avoid death. Not before. There's another opening pick for MVG. Didn't work out too well for them last round. They did still stall at the end, but this is a great start, a great way to get momentum back on their side as they plow through round 3.
Those were a big change up, right? Because I mean, that's an unfortunate death to have. And I just thrown over the top of the balcony. Not going to connect, able to jump to relative safety. But again, the defense on the back foot already, trying to make sure it's safe to run upstairs, but Duet caught out on the Goyo, again just playing outside, opening these windows. They're getting caught by the crossfires through barricades.
MVG just been able to get these kills. Really not too sure how they're doing it. Becky is aggressive, but doesn't even get the kill. It's just a down, and with only 2 players left in the defense, they'd be insane to try and get that kill confirmed. As Iftar's still pushing forward, taking down himself, but it looks to be all for naught as it's only Tricks left on just a slither of HP. Position known. Sure, there's beefers coordinating the positions of the attack, but he should be able to win this out. Can't even land the shots on Variox. And MVG, undeterred by that embarrassing final round of round 2, it just comes straight back out. An incredible bounce back from them here, and it still seems like this is a match where Nexus is thoroughly on the back foot.
Round 1 all over again. It's exactly the same thing. They just walk forwards with confidence. And just win gunfights. If you're going to do that, if you're going to commit to a let's go hard and fast, as long as you're winning your gunfights, you can keep it going. It's a playstyle that relies on taking initiative away from your opponent. You don't give them the breathing room to make decisions to put themselves in winning spots. It's what happened in round 2. Nexus were given just that little bit of time to play. They could think and make a decision about how they want to win the round. MVG, rounds 1, round 3, they've not allowed that at all. It's been all about how they want to play Siege and making Nexus keep up their pacing. It worked so much better. MVG never slow down again.
Yeah, it's looking, and I know it's really early, right, in this map to say this, but it's starting to look a little dire for Nexus. They got that one kind of saving grace of the hero play from Duet, but even in round 2, it was a very similar story in the early round. They just collapsed so quickly, and it was down to almost the failings of MVG rather than the successes of Nexus to get that pick. And he thought maybe that could potentially change the flow of the match, and that clearly hasn't happened. MVG bounced back incredibly well, getting that round under their belt. Entering round 4, another attempt at aggression there. Duet doesn't find anything. It seems like Nexus is just trying the same old things, and wanting to see some kind of adaptation. I'm wanting to see just a bit more passive play, a bit more bunker down play. But we've still got them going for these early picks. Luckily, they haven't died yet, so that's a good change here. But Isan's making his way into the building, Ben, and where he goes, death usually follows.
Making sure the staircase is covered as well. I like that they are aware that there's been some trickery from Nexus trying to creep around behind them. Frost a bit lucky to be able to walk out. Nishak still has to be careful of that shrine window on the balcony. The rest of MVG just catching up though, making sure they comfortably set themselves up all around Drum and Shrine before they start encroaching across the rest of the top. Hey, but if Just is going to find Becky, that's an excellent start with the smoke going down. The mirror window looking into Terrace cracked as well. There's another peeking up into Dragon, into Shrine. Still to be dealt with, but again, it's all about slowly removing options and information and picks as they go as well, as Doc just gets overzealous. Nishak finally deals with one, but that's going to lead to them surging into Terrace. They just want more, and they're showing no signs of slowing down. Looks towards VIP, there's one on the staircase who crosses over and narrowly escapes with their life. Catches him back on the angle as well. Looked away for just a second, but that's all that was needed to land the shots.
Just is taken down low though, but he's using these murder holes to his advantage, not giving away too much of himself at all, just getting any picks he thinks he can. Still, low HP can be a concern with a Nitro on the board, although Trixie, using it a bit more proactively, doesn't find anything. Ishak's attention is all forced to focus on Just as well, so there's potential here for MVG to get something, but again, Ben, we're seeing them start to stall out despite this early thunder of kills. They don't quite know where to go with this round next. Madaria, in a bit of a corner, does manage to swing himself out of it as Just goes down. Potential here for this Ash, but with the remaining player outside taken down, things get a lot worse there.
And you lose your ace as well on the steps, able to land the shots onto Frost to bring it to that 1 versus 2, works his way into Lounge, looking behind the table inside a sight, wants to get aggressive, caught on the cross though as Trixie ends with a double, getting that confirmation on the injured Maverick from earlier on. But Joe, I think everything was going so well for them, and they just, like say, stall out. Why was it in the Maverick to the breach? I know you need someone on that side of the map, but it's so difficult for him to actually make relevant space or relevant threat. He kind of just sits there and waits, and eventually Mira goes for a swing. I mean, it's a fantastic move to make sure you deal with the one isolated target behind you. It lets them put all of that pressure in towards the other two.
Yeah, you would have maybe like to see a rotate there from Just. We have obviously advantage of that spectator cam. We saw the amount of phantom pressure he was exerting from there, despite only like holding a very passive angle with how low health he was on. So if you got that rotate from him, you could potentially see a world where MVG have a lot more success there. But again, it is them stalling out. It is them just not being too sure where to go next. And you'd think if you're Nexus, upon seeing that, just fully bunker on site, right? MVG's ability to solve these problems seems to go down a lot when they are not presented these kills on the other side of the map, right? I mean, that was the longest time by far this match we've had before that opening pick. So you just take that to its logical extreme. Just everyone sit towards that site. Sure, it's a risk giving the attack so much safety and security to do what they want everywhere else on the map. But if it's going to save you lives and give you more bodies for that final engagement, just go for it. Go for a bit of a real just bunker strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it, right? You just play around these corridors. You talked about it before the game began. Teams just don't know how to cross it, or no, they don't know how to. It's so difficult to do in practice. They have spotted out a yokai drone early on, so that's good information to have and be aware of for later. I mean, the IQ, the perfect pick to hunt down the yokais. Again, you're seeing the deployable shield now thrown behind the drum. It's been shot out. They've got Vulcans there to buy it. They are really leaning in to the fact that they want to play around these choke points. Only one person on the roam, and it's just to try and hold tight angles with a shotgun, maybe buy a bit of time.
Intriguing here. We're seeing a much higher focus on this first floor. 3 or 4 attackers just clearing this out. I'm not sure if they're concerned for flanking routes or for lurkers. There's not really the actual operators you'd want to do this kind of reverse vertical, as Duet manages to get the first opening pick for Nexus here. Ishak doubling down, and MVG, that fantastic early round that they've been so infamous for in this matchup is nowhere to be seen, Ben. They're down 5-2 already, and it's not because of them stalling out, it's not because of them failing to get onto the side itself, it's this roam clear. They were so proficient on it for the past 4 rounds, and yet they can't do a thing here. 4 versus 1.
Ironically, it was on a round where it was so much lighter from Nexus, right? Realistically, they got one on a roam, another lending nearby support, and it's just all faltered. It's like getting aggressive with the SMG11, feeling confident. And I would too if that's how the round had gone in front of me, right? Everyone that comes across you just seems to die. You might as well hunt for a couple more yet. That was tremendous from Nexus. I mean, immediately it swapped around, right? Just having that control over the engagement, just being a little bit slower as well. You're not letting MVG get that ball rolling. They can't build it into a crescendo at the end. You just say, oh, well, it's a tiny little pebble. Just flick it back off. Just gun them down. Easy peasy. MVG, you got to figure out something new now. You can't just rely on jumping in and taking gunfights anymore. Nexus seem like they're finally here to fight for that entry.
First time in the map, Nexus are leading in round count as well, and here I would like to see that kind of break glass in case of emergency pick of a shield. It's your final round on the attack. You struggled with gaining access towards the site. Just bring them onto you. Just bring that big shield. It offers so much in the form of utility. I get they've been playing a very aggressive playstyle. They want 5 guns on the board, but Nexus has finally read into that. So just have one final little change. It doesn't have to be a foolproof strategy, but it's round 6. There's no time for Nexus to adapt because of it, because now you're going to be swapping sides after this round. Bring something like a shield. Bring something different, try and get this round on the board, because 3-3 is still pretty damn good for a skyscraper attack. But if Nexus can get this on a 4-2 half, and with the way they fought back against a MVG side that initially looked a lot stronger, they're going to be heading into their attacks with momentum in their sails. It could get a lot worse for MVG, so 3-3 would be a nice way for them to walk out this half.
No, you're outside the window now. I'm going to throw out still Grismot. Just buy yourself that notification if someone does try and chase you in. Or, again, if we see MVG continue to be very aggressive, tries to halt them. One Bravo drone tries to escape, but sniffed out pretty easily. And slow start from MVG is they're not rushing into anything. Being a little bit more methodical around the outside of Geisha. Still doing a little bit of a sweep on the far side of the map. They want that office control. Still, again, get inside the building first. It's just a nice little confidence boost to kick off the round.
Yeah, but they're up against a bit of a brick wall here. They want to get through this single panel, but there's no Thatcher. Thatcher's not banned, of course. They just haven't brought it. They've instead opted for more kind of direct methods of destroying these electro claws, and usually that'll be fine, except Nexus has positioned someone right next to it, so they can't get in with these drones. They could maybe go for a nade, but it's such a deep angle it would be very difficult. So instead they've had to just turn and run, basically. Go for somewhere else. They've clearly demonstrated that single wall was a crucial part of the round, but now we're seeing Variox fish for kills through a doorway. It seems his MVG side is a little bit flustered as to what to do next, and Nexus can easily take advantage of that. Duet holding a really winnable angle here. Bachata is taking a bit low, but shouldn't be the end of the world. It looks like it might just be a case of Isan going for a hero play here, and that is incredibly risky. It does pay off. He gets the opener yet again. I believe his 3rd of the map, and puts MVG in the driver's seat of this final attacking round.
Critical to find a way to get space, and it has to be on that ground floor, because again, this second floor is so tied up. Eventually the Kaid going to drop away. There's only a minute left on the clock. Not really enough time for the attack to get in, and when you have Ishak jumping out, taking them off the Disco Rappel too, it's starting to look a little grim to be on the side of MVG. It's back into the building safely as well. Vertical hold established, but not currently being watched. Oh, might hear footsteps around the corner. Brills out the super shorty to try and take him down. Lands it perfectly onto the striker and aggresses up Black Stairs. Forces that attention from the Twitch. You have to turn around. Isan, been so good so far, needs to do more to keep their team in it, but has to commit to taking out Goon. 1 HP, still that super shorty. It's Madari to get the first. Enya just runs forwards down the main stairs too. Able to surge into sight, catch the Legion from behind. Out of nowhere, MVG have gotten control of the round. The plant going down, but you have to get in place to cover it. And just in time. Mads gets guns up to catch the Valkyrie rotation before things slip out of hand.
I was so close to just showering Nexus with praise there. The way that they could have just taken back that half by the horns, gone from a disastrous start to a 4-2, and MVG just sweep in and kill them all. You know, it's Siege, it's a shooter at the end of the day. You can have a brilliant 90% of the round, but if you can't get those final picks, unfortunately, it's just not your round to be won. And MVG proved that. They've gotten the 3-3. They've managed to overcome some real adversity by the end of that half to get themselves in a much nicer spot. And now they get that much nicer side. The defense, they can just sit back. They've got these frost mats, these Fenrir mines, these Goyo traps to just stall the attack out and make things a lot more comfortable. And as for Nexus, well, they're in a bit more of a dire spot. 4-2 would have given them a very comfortable safety net on their attacks to drop a few rounds, but now it's all even once again, so there's much more pressure for them to get these early successes on their attacking rounds, just like MVG did. You'd think going off the back of round 6, MVG are in a slightly better spot here, but we've seen Nexus have this brilliant ability to bounce back no matter what, so don't count them out yet at all. Still, you would have loved that 4-2 split.
It would have just given you so much more breathing room, right? I mean, like a 4-2-5-1, that's like completely fine on Skyscraper. Depends how good you feel on your attacks, of course. You'll notice something you were really demanding to see from MVG immediately brought to the table is that Becky grabbing that Monty. They understand the importance of those shields, and I think after having seen MVG run into those time issues, right, where they just couldn't walk forwards through a doorway, guys, let's not mess around with it. Let's just bring our shield, let's do our thing. They've also got the ESA, so the classic walk up black stairs, push in through the doorway at the top. Look kind of like the vibe here. You add the glass on board as well with the smokes going through. Could be a pretty spicy execute.
Yeah, what I'm seeing here from Nexus is they don't want to deal with that roam clear at all. They don't want to deal with these natural kind of funnels, these bottlenecks between the two halves of the map. So it's just this straight hit towards this side of the map. Becky also spotting that flanker as well. Great from him. I'm not sure if Rissan's going to be able to get away here. The angle should be watched. The crouch does expose a bit of his head, but it's such a tight angle, you can't be blaming Duat for missing that.
No.
Instead, it looks like the whole plan is formulating together, but there's no rotate through that wall. That's where you'd usually want to plant here on one of those shield operators. Instead, you have to waste that hard breach charge. Those hard breach charges can be so fickle then. You rarely can actually crouch through them, with the ESA being taken down as well. Things are getting even worse. If Becky is forced to vault through that, it could be bad. It looks like a vault was, a crouch rather, was attained here, and now with the glass holding Overwatch. Brilliant. Precisely done here. The Lion as well, cutting off those rotates, and the plant's down. This is a fantastic spot for Nexus77 here.
And Bokovic still holding the long angle on that glass, trying to rotate in towards Karaoke, but spotted out on the drone, and with a player on upside down rappel, they should be able to hold this pretty comfortably. Monty inside of sight as well, catches the aggression coming through. You can't turn around in time, you go down to the pistol, but the Karaoke rappels off. They come through the rotate, they caught Monty on both sides. They're trying to stick to the diffuser, and it's just Bokovic left. Has to walk forward to try and take the gunfight, bearing 9 out now because of how many concerning angles there are. But you just stick around, and they don't even realize what's going on around them. An amazing retake, pushing in on multiple angles, distracting the Monty, to protect the glass, to swing around behind it, to take down Becky. Everything working out perfectly for MVG there on that retake.
It was really well played for MVG. Before I say what I'm going to say, I need to give them props. It was really well done, as you said, that multi-pronged approach of just distracting all these individual elements, that they couldn't have that synergy. Great. There should be no situation where you have the leeway to do that, though, right? You have the glass and the ability to see through those smokes, and the Overwatch that can provide. You have Monty, who is functionally immortal if you just plop him in a corner and draws so much attention towards himself. You have that rappel as well, which can hold these such one-sided angles. And all of these elements fundamentally failed at their job in that post-plant. Despite getting that beautiful post-plant position that should be so winnable for Nexus, they just couldn't attain it. Again, credit to MVG, a fantastic response there. They all knew exactly what to do. It's a sign of a very well-formatted team, but they shouldn't have the leeway to do that. It shouldn't be a situation that they can find themselves in, and that's a real problem for Nexus, because even when they have the round 1 in their clutches, they somehow found a way to fumble it there.
It's unfortunate, right? It's been so well worked. I love a good bit of Glaz play. I mean, it's so cool. And you get the thermal scope and you go prone to look through the feet holes to contest. I mean, it's also well designed as a set piece for Nexus that you just want to see them be able to follow through on it. Ishak kind of replicating Ishan's work from earlier, just walking in and hunting frags, but Madaria just domes him. Doesn't even matter if you're going to run in and take headshots, you just swing around and clean him up like that. Okay, bro. And then you stim pistol back up to full HP as well. Gets away with it.
Yeah, that's a fundamental difference to the way these two teams have approached it. When we saw MVG going for their attacks, sure, it was a lot of Isan just walking through and just getting kill after kill after kill, but he always had someone with him. It was often Variox there to get the trade if need be, so they kept the ball rolling. When Nexus did it, there was no such trade available at all. The rest of them were not in position, and sure, great on Ishak to get that opening pick. When it's 4v4, ultimately that doesn't really matter. You haven't been able to keep pushing your advantage there, and it's resulting in them kind of stalling out again, struggling to get through this midpoint of the map, having to put a lot of resources into it. And that was a problem they could have avoided entirely if they put more than one person into that building to begin with.
Again, just start fighting these tight angles. Doesn't feel comfortable walking any further forwards. A mirror window staring you down as well. So anytime you do overstep, it's going to be stared right at. Oh no, you can't miss throw when you drop a smoke to give it cover. Do you have another Selma to throw, Trixie? Please, while they have no vision, get this mirror window gone. The Nitro Cell flies out through terrace, but doesn't land on any target. An amazing push up from Ishtan. Gets one, but caught off afterwards by Trixie. Even if he is on 1 HP to try and close out. Down to a defective 2 versus 1, with the mirror still injured behind the dragon statue. Gotta figure out how he's gonna move himself into comfortable space. Just waiting patiently. A full rotation here from Nexus. They want to double up on Shrine, try and play for a trade. A drone coming through, scouting for information, but maybe force a movement as it does start to explode. Remember, completely missed the bandit. Does that give him the space to creep up? He's holding a very tight and dangerous angle. Spots the hot head of the Flores behind the statue, and he peeks up into it, Joe. He's given it away, and the Nitro Shell flying through, but not yet detonated. He's 1 HP, you could set it off, instead he waits. Free Fire's coming in around the bomb chassis, but he's hugging it tight, not giving up his space. Pushes onto the door frame, worried about that default camera, has to take it down for information, but just pushes up while he's distracted by the flashing light in the sky. Catches him off, even if the Free Fire was so close to his head.
Just a couple crucial moments there that allowed Jess to get that kill, particularly a trigger discipline on that Flores drone. You identified it perfectly. When you use those drones, you're on a timer. You have to make the most of those 5 seconds you have of active time to look around. They miss out that player, and you could be tempted in that situation, that 1v2, to just destroy that piece of intel, make sure it can't get any more information around the site. But instead, he just stays cool. He lets it roll right on past. His position is still unknown. He gets that free pick onto that Flores, who had no clue he was initially there, and then against such a massive disparity in health, it was a very easy gunfight to win, allowing MVG to just keep clawing up. And it's that situation we really didn't want to happen on the side of Nexus. MVG have gotten to these defenses, this easier site, especially going off the back of the end of round 6, and they have been very comfortable, particularly in these mid-rounds, just comfortable to throw their weight around a little bit, but also retreat when need be. It's allowed them to have this 2-round buffer now, 1 away from map point, 2 away from winning map 1 outright and putting themselves 1-0 in this series.
5 seconds remaining.
This is where it gets a little dangerous. Nexus, you gotta figure out these attacks. You gotta get something going here, because again, time, you can't afford to stall out. Seen MVG just start to really settle into that comfort zone, and this is the tertiary bomb site. This is the one way we always look at it. Go and say, look, you have to win now, or it's basically over.
Oh.
Might not be that strict. I don't know if he set that off. I think he has, right?
I think he did.
Bit unfortunate. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's a window that's probably getting popped open anyway, right? It's on the barricade. So it's like, sure, losing it as an information tool maybe does hurt you a little bit. Still toying around on this Samurai window, playing with Bokovic a little bit, but they're not going to come to blow just yet.
Setting up breaching points.
Yeah, I think that might have been just designed at stopping a bit of aggression. Talking of early aggression, who else but Isan yet again getting an opener for his side on the shotgun Solace, an option that we haven't seen much of recently when those greater Solace nerfs came through. People just preferring that P90, but allowed him to get that pick, and Madari is able to get back towards the safer half of the map as well. Great job from these MVG roamers. Not only have they wasted a bit of time, they got a pick as well. That's all you could possibly want from them, and they're still alive as well. It's just everything that could have gone right for MVG has that.
Oh, absolutely, and they're still fishing for kills as well. You see Isan holding an aggressive angle as they're swinging onto turrets, wondering if he can get some trip damage. Got a shoulder shot into Trixie on the long angle, and now the Ishak jumping down below, gunned down by the Vector as well. This is looking real good for MVG to continue to push this advantage. They're still clearing out for Drum, afraid of close angles. A lovely shot to make sure you take down the Solace. That ever-constant threat, someone who's always willing to walk forwards and look for a fight. Finally, it's punished.
Activating Selma.
Oh, another Selma
win.
flying onto a wall. Not ideal.
If it's the stress of this situation they're in now, obviously quarterfinal, not in that lower bracket yet, so there's a bit of a safety net here, but still we're seeing these individuals almost crumble under the pressure a little bit as a Nexus. They just crumble entirely when it's time for them to get close to the site. The two people now fishing for this kill on Trixie. He gets one, but in a 3 versus 1 situation, it's going to be so risky, and Madara gets another, I believe his 12th of the map. He's been a bit of a silent assassin here, Ben. Nothing too flashy, but consistently picking up kill after kill here, and he's led his team on to map point.
That's the ideal way to do it, though. You don't need to be getting a 4K every 7th round. You just consistently pick up your picks. You win your ones when you get them, and it always adds up. And a lot of these kills are coming in situations where it's like, oh, there's a really potent, dangerous threat that's happening off camera, right? It's all behind the scenes, like, it's a little bit tidy work that he's doing, just to like really make sure everyone else looks like they're shining. Like, oh wow, they're all fighting on this side. Make sure that they're safe to do so. Start your pad up the stats a little bit while you're doing it. Fantastic work from him, doing some of the less visually rewarding roles for the team.
Yeah. Heading back onto this second floor site, and they won that tertiary. Exactly what we wanted from them here. They've shown they can easily get through this full rotation of sites. So Nexus, they're gonna have to be winning on sites they've lost previously now if they want to stand a chance of just survival here. MVG have full 3 rounds now to try whatever sites they want to get this last round. So a lot of pressure on the attackers here. On the side of MVG, though, if they do let a couple of these rounds slip, you can build a case towards perhaps a bit of mental chalkage, you know? You wouldn't want to be in a position where you're so close to winning, but you just keep dropping these rounds. But that is on Nexus to actually make MVG drop these rounds so far. Aside from round 9, or round 8 rather, where things did look a little dicey, MVG have just looked so confident on their places.
Again, it's back to this Glaz, but you haven't got the Osa, you haven't got the Monty to go with it. So it's going to be much more vulnerable, but a little more traditional, I would expect, right? Less all in on the play, and after MVG dealt with it the first time, maybe thinking, you know, let's not do something too counterable. I say that as Trixie immediately caught off, trying to be the creepy, crafty nook running around the basement. You do trade it off, though, so that's a big improvement from last time, where you're sending your entry in alone. This time, that duo coming into fruition.
Yeah, still even man count, though, inherently favouring the defenders who have the map to play around, who have the timer to play around, but it's not the end of the world now. Even with Trixie down, you've lost that star player of Madari, you've lost that Doc, so any damage is going to be permanent as well. The chip damage from things like these grenades is going to start paying off. Still, though, they haven't exactly found a way to get in here that isn't going to involve winning quite a few gunfights, right? You've not got that shield anymore, so you can't just wander towards karaoke. You're also having to do a bit of impromptu vertical here, smoking it off to try and get a hard breach charge through. But again, that exposes you to multiple lines of sight, and Verix claims another. You're really starting to feel the effects of not having that Monty here, because every single way you have to walk through, you're going to have to win a gunfight.
Nitrocell flying out, Bokovic goes sky high, they're opening the wall finally, but it's too late. Ishak has been able to get deep into karaoke, give that pocket a space. The reinforced wall coming into bite as well, as he's gone for his triple. They know one more right in the T1 door as he gets shot down in the leg. Not quite finished off just yet. Bokovic gives himself the smoke to play in, but a flank from behind, and it's over just like that. As he swings in through the rotation, they had no clue he was coming.
A single mute jammer just completely destroyed that whole attack as MVG have a remarkably comfortable defensive half there, 4 in a row, to take this map 1 here in the series. Fantastically done from them.
I mean, you're coming in, you pick Skyscraper, a map that you need to have that good understanding of. It's a map that it really punishes you if you're coming in without a game plan, and they come in and do exactly what they need to. Those 3 rounds that they picked up on the attack, everything that they needed to do. The defense looked amazing as well. I mean, everything just... When I see a team pick a Skyscraper, a Consulate, even something like a Bank sometimes, right? A map that's pretty standard, teams know it, but it requires that coordination, requires that level of teamwork. You need to be able to capitalize on the fact that you got that veto advantage, because that's what it is. You get to pick a map like that. It is your advantage to lose. And they've sat down, looked very composed, very calm the whole time, even when they got setbacks in that first half, right? They had rounds where they're a really good start and completely falter on time. That doesn't just put them off their game. It doesn't send the whole half into a spiral. Next round, they're immediately back, and they just fix the mistake. It's great adaptation from MolotovGang, and look, this is why they're a team that can ramp up, like you mentioned before the game even began. It's why they're a team that might need to warm themselves in. But hey, look, we've reached the playoffs, and Prime MVG, they're here to play.
Yeah, I think just a great microcosm of that whole map is round 7, is that post plant, and it just shows the difference in the way these two teams approach this map. MVG were really just well trained to deal with that situation. Once that diffuser went down, they all knew exactly what they needed to do, what gunfights to take. Looking inside of Nexus, they started to fumble a bit there. They didn't quite know how to respond to that aggression. And just showed that MVG had things a lot more labbed out here on, as you said, quite a risky pick of Skyscraper.
Yeah, and now, map number 2 just around the corner. Look, there's hope for Nexus still. Best of 3, you can close it out in 2 more maps, and next up, it's your map pick. This is your time to do it, right? You get to go to that comfort spot, but it's Clubhouse, and it's one of those really interesting ones where, yes, it's a map that rewards fundamentals. So on one hand, if you're just the better team, you should be able to breeze through your opponent. Everyone's going to know Clubhouse. It's not that home ground advantage like something like a Skyscraper was for MolotovGang, where you get to prove your dominance. It's going to be a lot more tightly contested. Can MolotovGang close it out in 2, or is this the start of the bounce back for Nexus that they need on their map pick? We'll be back for Clubhouse after a very short break. Welcome back to the ESA Cup. It's our upper bracket quarterfinal between MVG and Nexus77. And Molotov, they find themselves a map up. It's Skyscraper, pretty close first half, bit of back and forth, both teams trying to change around each other, but you hit that second half, they turn the corner and just locked Nexus out. It didn't look close for a second. They were so comfortable on their own stomping ground. Nexus77, they need to turn this fate of the series around, and it's going to happen here on Clubhouse, or they'll be going down to the lower bracket. Joe, you were enlightening me about Clubhouse, a very popular map, usually.
Yeah,
no, it's a ranked favorite. It's generally a favorite.
You'd think, wouldn't you? Right? Everyone knows Clubhouse. Everyone loves playing Clubhouse. It's seen everywhere across all tiers of play, except not in ESA Cup Season X. In fact, only been picked 5 times. 25 rounds of it have been played, and any future mathematicians in the audience might be able to realize that that's an average of less than 7 rounds per map. How can that be possible? And that's because not every time it's been picked has it actually been played. So it's even less in this season. So I'm not suggesting people are going to be forgetting how to play Clubhouse. Obviously, it's been around for years, but you might lose a bit of that comfort and you might lose a bit of that just innate knowledge of what to do in these individual situations. And for a side like Nexus, who picked this map, that might be your saving grace. You might be able to just put MVG in a couple too many situations where they don't quite know exactly what to do right off the top of their head. just force them to think a little bit and take advantage of that downtime. If you can do that, you might stand a chance here. But again, MVG just looked so strong back in map 1.
It is really interesting, right? I mean, what, 25 rounds? That is probably like 3 maps played. If we're going like 3 not very close maps, even like 25 rounds would be like 3 7-2s. It's like not even that. So it's probably 2 maps played. It's probably twice played, 3 times picked as a decider. Like, it ain't a lot. Because I think we've had at least one close clubhouse game in the Swiss stage in round 4. So like, yeah, it really hasn't seen the same love and care that it deserves. A map of this high esteem, but the Hibana take it off immediately. Now this is kind of a classic when it comes to clubhouse, right? Basement, pretty legitimate bomb site, pretty strong, some would say, and Hibana, Queen of Hatches. Well, there's lots of hatches. Hibana opens lots of hatches.
Yep.
Makes things a little less comfortable for the attack, especially on that kitchen side, right? That's where it really matters most.
Yep, Blackbeard banned because why would you not? Over 50% ban rate this season. I wonder if you guys could spot which attacker is objectively broken at the moment. I sure can't. Clash, though, also being taken out of the field here. The second ban of this series on this operator. We kind of theorize Clash can be really good at stalling the attack, particularly towards the middle of that second floor on Skyscraper. As for Clubhouse, there's a couple more avenues and routes the attack can choose to take to kind of get around the Clash. So it might not be as impactful of a ban and lean more towards just being a comfort ban for Nexus here. Interesting to see. It's also the Azami off the board as well. So 3 of those 4 banned operators on Skyscraper, once again, not playable here.
Yeah, I think that generally is kind of how bans are used in the modern Siege, right? I mean, there's so much variation and sort of not exactly the same, but sort of decent enough alternatives that outside of very specific toolkits, like Hibana on Clubhouse, right? There's no one else who has the ability to use those X-Kairos and open hatches in small little bursts, much safer from things like impact tricking, which you're already seeing 6 brought out here. Whether they'll be actively trying to close that kitchen hatch off is yet to be seen, right? Some teams will threaten it, but they won't really hard commit to it. Others set up full rotations to really lock it down, recognizing its ability, like how strong it can be as a solo point of attack, right? You just need that hatch, you push into dirt, maybe you throw someone down blue just as a distraction card effects. You just kind of rock around. I think this is pretty standard from the lineup generally, though, right? And the attack coming through, adding a Jackal, they try to make sure they can get into that building and clear MVG out pretty consistently.
Yeah, another interesting thing here, no Cade being brought by the defense, and instead they've got Bocevic on the Maverick, which is probably expecting a Cade pick, right? That's the only way you can deal with those claws on these hatches, particularly looking at Moto. Instead, no Cade there, so they've maybe baited Nexus into potentially, I guess, wasting an operator slot. Maverick's still good, still useful, got those flashes, a good gun, but it's not utility that you maybe would have wanted to bring, and instead they've just thought that MVG would go for something standard. MVG going for a bit more of an aggressive lineup, and it's forced Nexus to bring maybe not the most ideal operator.
A bomb has been located.
Well, they cleared out the majority of Clubhouse now. Down to the bottom of the main stairs, position a drone to watch out for any flanks. Shore up the back as well, make sure no one sneaks up lounge. It's a really good pacing from Nexus to start off. And Jest runs on a corner and kills a shack. Not quite ideal.
That's putting it lightly, I would say. You've lost that Brava. I mean, I guess the only thing you're really hacking here are those Malisi Banshees, so it's not the end of the world.
Very valuable, though.
Attackers have
They are. At least it wasn't something like a hard breacher, right? I'm really trying to just reach for anything here to make this less of a blow, but losing them in that fashion as well, not a great start.
Cab on attack. Could have been worse.
I suppose, you know, anything could happen in a wonderful game of Siege.
Pressure coming through onto Variox, who's so far doing a job to try and lock down this hatch. He's already used 1 impact grenade earlier, as there's a bit of a dance going around for how they are going to open this hatch. Again, you might look at that Maverick, but it's quite a dangerous operator to try and do this with, because So much this for is exposable, it's very telegraphed what you're doing, you're there for a long time committing to it, a nitro cell flies out, I mean, the only one here is already gone, it's throwing it very early. But it's always that danger that you don't want to risk. Leaves you in a tough spot.
I don't even know if they're going to go for the kitchen hatch. It's just so risky, and yeah, look at the amount of gas left on Bocevic. There's just nothing. They have to go for this moto drop. A flash might have been whiffed there, it looks like. Either way, it's yet again more things stalling the push of the attack. It looks to be a full moto and main stairs push. You've got a bit of Overwatch on that armory from the kitchen floor, but you can't drop kitchen hatch either. It's going to be a case of just peeking into angles at the defense. We're already looking at as a smoke grenade got botched as well, I believe. Bocevic taking down immediately. At least there's a trade here, but 3v4 and damage dealt 1 versus 4. There's just nothing that Nexus can possibly hope to achieve here. There's no secure entry points whatsoever. It's all down to gunfights, and MBG are obviously going to win them. A real disaster in that late round there for Nexus, and MVG just clean up some of the freest gunfights they'll ever take.
I think the real issue there is you're looking at how they're trying to push down. It's a smoke thrown down to try and sort of give them some maybe cover on Moto, but they drop down and look off to the left, and there's a guy stood in the doorway because the way the smoke drops, you can no longer get covered onto the soda door by your teammate on the hatch above you, so you just go down unretaliated, and then eventually the next guy's like, well, I just have to drop as well. Shot down in exactly the same way by exactly the same player. There just wasn't enough dimension to the attack. I mean, you could see the impact of losing, well, by losing I mean not having opened kitchen hatch, right? Losing access to the drop. Is that there's so much extra space for MGV to sit in. MGV? For MolotovGang to sit in. They're under very little threat. They have all of Armory to use for these long angles. They can draw all the way down into the Moto doorway as well. So even when you drop and run out to safety onto short, you get gunned down anyway. All of it doesn't really line up for you in Nexus77. They ran into that roadblock. This is what happens, right? You lose access to that Habana, and you now have to find other ways to open hatches. There's not even a Kaid on the board. You mentioned it. Still stumbling.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I mean, attack a retake as well. You really shouldn't be in a situation where you get kind of fooled like that. And maybe we're putting bullets in their heads, right? Maybe they weren't tricked, but there's just so many better, more useful operators you could have brought rather than the Maverick there, with the abundance of hard reach charges and the other issues they faced in that round. You'd maybe have wanted them to pick something else, but they just didn't. They went with the Maverick, couldn't really get anything done with him, and they just drop and die. It's a very fast push here, immediately getting hot droned, but just pre-fires it. All this pre-fire in the book, just aiming at crouch height, knows exactly what Nexus want to get done there. Just too simple. And yet again, MVG with a really simple and almost free kill, getting themselves on the board here. Nexus, we need to see a massive improvement there.
Just another untraded pick. That's what's really dangerous is Molotov walk up, get a frag, and now he's dipped away. He's nowhere near anymore, and they still have this extension into cache. You're seeing the drones come through to clear it out, but again, there's no one actively on this drone, so yes, you've cleared it. You now need 10 more seconds to actually get in and get that control. Everything just a little lethargic from Nexus. I want to see them pick up this pace a little bit, be a little bit more proactive.
They've at least managed to get Pat. They've at least managed to get CC that pushing right towards construction. That's a lot of ground gained, and they only lost one body, and they dealt around half health to Jess. So that's something, at least. They've still got to formulate the push onto the side itself. They've got these Flores drones coming through. That should be this nice combination of intel and utility destruction. But they've got to deal with these Fenrir gadgets, and they've got nothing to actually deal with it other than just running in, potentially risking getting picked here. Thank God Becky was able to get it out for free with Midoriya. A beautiful kill onto Bocevic there. And things, once again, just can't seem to get any better. They could maybe get a pick here, but Midoriya, the drone gives away the game entirely. He's playing much more passive now, holding the angle with a shotgun. His foot is known, but that's not enough to get the kill. And just pushes him even further back into sight. Every opportunity Nexus seem to get, they just can't quite manage to actually capitalize on it.
They are pushing in towards logistics, but have to double think that. It's Duet instead being the one to walk forwards in a 3 versus 5. You need to find ones, and Ina just runs through the door frame, guns down Trixie, and disappears back into sight, holding onto that mattress for dear life for cover. Flashbangs flying through, but peeked out into it, knocked down on the highway. The last alive, they knew that you were on the logistics hatch. They hear you drop onto the platform outside. Maybe the movement from Trixie was enough to hide your positioning. As you walk around the corner, that shot's going to give it away, but it doesn't matter. You're still able to win out the one. 1 versus 4, clutch situation, needed to win. The nice little vault up onto the table, might be able to bait out in time, but you look away just as Fenrir pokes his head into sight. You go prone and win the drop shot, but the follow-up from Jest puts you back down again. Oh dear. MVG just looks so confident, so composed, and we're not seeing those defensive formations broken apart at all.
Yeah, this is MVG's 6th defensive round win in a row in this series, and their 7th round win overall. This is momentum that is just simply unstoppable at this point, and Nexus really need to dig deep and just get something on the board here. Because MVG, they're not only playing well, Ben, but they're playing with confidence. We're seeing these wild swings, but they know that they're just playing better at this point. Yeah. They know they're putting themselves in better situations, and they're giving themselves just the confidence and the ability and the comfort to go for more riskier plays, because it doesn't even really matter if one of them doesn't pay off, because they've already got themselves in a 5v3 or a 4v2. So one pick doesn't really break their efforts at all. And it's just giving them more and more confidence, more and more comfort, and it's just this self-feeding cycle where MVG is getting stronger and stronger in this matchup. And this might be the absolute crescendo of confidence, Ben, because we're in bar and stage.
Yeah. I didn't think we'd see that on the cards today. I have to be completely real with you. I do like it. You know, look, here's the thing. Cash CCTV.
5 seconds left.
It's exposed. It isn't this behemoth of a site that causes threat to the attack. Instead, you go, oh, they're doing this one, we'll grab this, we'll grab this. You do that, yeah, I'll go left, yeah, perfect. All right, see you at the victory line. Everyone kind of has that foundation for what you need to do to make sure you win. And you still have to be able to execute on it. I'm not saying it's a freebie, but it's much easier to do. When Nexus are on the back foot, why not capitalize? Cause them to actually have to think and panic and go, look, okay, this site's supposed to be bad, but how do you do this again? Can we remember? Can we coordinate it out? And when you're in that flow state that MVG have been on, when you have this just like so much uncontested control of whatever you need, a site that lets you sit up above and force the attack to come clear you out, hey, maybe that's just what you need.
Well, Nexus did pick this map, so hopefully they've got some kind of predetermined routine they can do here, because yeah, if they're caught off guard by this bar stage pick, things could be disastrous. And of course, with the mental factor, if Nexus do lose this round on the quote-unquote worst site on the map, how is that going to affect them when they're already just trailing in rounds here throughout this series? It could all go very badly, but at the same time, it's a big gamble. Still, no engagements as of yet. Midori is playing so aggressively, but no bullets actually connect. He is tracked by those bees, but he's so aggressive, so confident. He will just challenge onto this hatch, force Ishbak to peek into him, and he wins the opening engagement. Somehow, some way, not even a lick of damage onto him either. You could see him reach for that stim pistol, but he didn't need to. Nothing happened. He just remarkably well played there from Midori, just getting an absolute freebie again as Nexus stall again.
Well, site wall onto stage, sort of opened, but you're now out of Selmas with no other hard breach. It's not ideal. He's walked up into Cash, found another for his efforts. Looks like it's actually Aino who finds the final damage to confirm the kill. But a joint swing to retake space. Finally, Duet coming through. A slight hole in the wall, giving the dock away. But you just hold down the trigger, and eventually Trixie walks into it. That's downstairs inside a stop. The diffuser now dropped. You've lost that pressure coming through to try and set up for a plant. All of the upstairs is still established very comfortably, might I add. The mirror windows in place. So be careful you don't give your life away challenging a silly unnecessary angle. Duet now having to go downstairs and hunt for this defuse kit again, but has no clue of the locations of the defenders down below. Echo still down inside a bar, looking through the footholes, waiting patiently for someone to walk up. And Ash has to take the bait. There's only 20 seconds left on the clock. Running down onto the hallway, makes some sound, spots out Jest, confirms the kill, but has to go through the site hole. Gunned down by Itan, doesn't matter that he dies. There's only 3 seconds remaining, stuck in the rotation, because again, it was just made by a single Selma charge. The rest all used elsewhere. In MVG, they take us to stock. They look so comfy. They push back that initial assault up above Joe, and then they sit back and claim their win. It's a perfect sweep on Clubhouse with Bar in the rotation.
That's it's got to sting for the side of Nexus, right? If there was one chance to win a round, you'd think the attack onto bar stage would be it, and yet they're foiled yet again. I really like that setup being brought by MVG, particularly that mirror window in construction. We saw it completely deterred Duet, despite there not being a single person behind it, because he just couldn't risk dropping another body for his team. Instead, he had to go for this much more risky horizontal push in the final moments of that round. And of course, that was repelled. All those angles being watched by the defense. Really nicely played there by MVG. It was a big risk, but a risk that paid off wonderfully. I need to see some adjustments from Nexus now. They're reattempting sites. We've gone to round 4. MVG not choosing to go for the full 4, sadly. It will just be that 3-site rotation. But I need an abundance of hard breach, to be brutally honest. I need ways to get that kitchen hatch open, get lines of sight for Nexus to play with. We're seeing that in the form of this round. Kitchen hatch is going to be ripped open entirely, so that will be a little more risky for MVG to play there. Also got those 2 sets of those hard breach charges to add on to that, so no Maverick being brought. That's nice. One of them is on the striker as well, so nades for further utility destruction. It seems Nexus playing solely into getting hatches open and getting more entry points themselves, and I like that, because it means they aren't just going to be peeking with the same doorways that MVG are covering the entire round.
Drones caught out early, disappear back into the basement. I really like this approach as well. You step a little bit up and just take out drones, especially when you've already seen so far Nexus not following them closely. It's very hard for them to actually punish that. Finally, we're seeing Trixie picking up the mantle of the Ash now, running downstairs. The Ram coming through to throw as much of armory as possible. Impact grenade thrown out to take down the first of the buggies, able to skirt away, and again, still sit relatively safely at the back of site for the time being. A much better challenge coming through onto the back of Generator, though. They're still waiting to see what this drop's coming through. Moto hatch open. It's a good start.
Yeah, I really like that push from Trixie as well, mainly due to the fact that he's being hot droned by that Brava. So those early warning systems of the Fenrir, of the Melusi, will not be effective at all, and it almost paid off. Madaria did lose a chunk of health, but still, the game's gone, the game's given up, so Trixie is moving elsewhere. It's too risky to solo push blue. It's a nice strategy, and I like how they've identified it. Only really a one and done thing, right? Once they realize they're coming through that position, you've got to go elsewhere. What I don't like, though, is Botcho being taken down to just being down already through the hatch. A great bit of aggression shown by MVG. A nice bit of utility burn. No more nitros on the board here, as it looks like a lot of utility being sent out by the attack. This might be faking somewhat of a push here, as they're still just sticking on this first floor, but those fakes can be costly. They've only got 1 smoke grenade left for their actual push now, and they didn't bait out a single kill.
Yeah, no Grimbees either, so you shoot those out. It's a great way to get that information, especially through things like a smoke when the defense has to try and be aggressive. Still looking to try and open that kitchen hatch with a potential charge as well. Still 2 in the pocket of Bokovic, but none coming through just yet. Another nade to try and buy some space onto the mirror window. Flashbang coming through to signal a drop, but the spray's coming through, can't quite land, but Isan escapes with a slither of HP, and that might be all he needs. Duet has taken down one as they creep up onto the window, but just fall to the Melusi, gunned down at point-blank range as they tried to creep in through the cover of smoke. 3 versus 4, and 20 seconds on the clock. There is no time at all for this attack to make a move. Lying patiently prone on the ground, but Aina with a triple so far, still holding vigilantly at the bottom of the main stairs. Trixie with 1 onto Isan, but I think it's too late. He runs forward, there's crossfires from Armory. The same space still held tightly throughout the entirety of that round, and it was much closer, much scrappier at the end, but ultimately it feels very similar to round 1.
They just can't get anything done, it seems. In MVG, they were already looking strong in Skyscraper, but now they are just flourishing here on Club. These defenses seeming almost impenetrable. And it's with this great mix of aggression and these crazy swings, right? We saw Bokovic taken down but not out through the hatch. A remarkably brave play from MVG, but it's paying off. And then when they need to put the brakes in, they need to play more passive, they do the exact thing. Really nicely done for MVG, and it seems like Nexus have no real way of breaking it. The only thing I could see that could maybe stunt this momentum is one of these higher-risk plays, like a rush or an all-in smoke plan or something like that, something out of the ordinary, just to catch MVG off guard. But with the way things are being played, I think a 7-0, another 7-0 on Clubhouse might be on the cards here.
Hey, look, I could be down for, let's stick an exothermic charge on the Jacuzzi breach and just full send. You're down 0-4 at this point. I think that you get to a spot where, like you said, it's super difficult to sit up as Nexus and be like, you know what, guys, let's just play normally. You know, I think we got this, guys. Like, you always need someone on the team who's just a little bit on that copium, you know, someone who enjoys the fumes a little bit, right? Can get you all gassed up for it.
Puffing the rye.
I think that might be a little bit difficult to do from this situation. Oh, and it's especially difficult to do from that situation.
It's
Very
just
runs up, guns him off sport.
It's this confidence, it's this cockiness, but it's not misplaced because they're just getting these picks, they're winning it. It's a gamble, sure, but it's a gamble that they know they've ran the numbers in their head and they know that they're gonna win that fight. They're gonna get it down to a 4v5, and that's exactly what I like to see from a team in this position, just making the absolute most of the situation they've got themselves in. Aina's in a bit of a predicament, but he realizes there's no one actually watching these angles, and he's managed to slip his way back into far more comfortable territory. And Nexus, they're just playing so scared here, and Isan has been taken down. That's good, that's something, but it's far away from the site, and it's in basically no man's land at this point. Aina has come to reinforce it, but he realizes there's no real need. It's the opposite side of the map. Damage has been done to the attack, time has been wasted. He can now focus on getting out of there, the barricade up as well, just to add even more of a time sink to that half of the map.
And you still got all 3 Zotos too, so you just wait for them to try and open up this cache wall, and just go like, add 36 seconds onto that. Wait, please. And you look at the clock already, 1:36 left, so the more time that gets eaten away, the better and better this looks for MVG, even though, yes, we saw Nexus get one of those kills back. Still very dire for them with so little opened up.
Yeah, first Soda goes out, so that's even more of a time sink, but Aina gets a bit too aggressive. Ishak, a fantastic pick there, putting Nexus in that man count advantage, giving them even more time to play with. Madara has to go for a hero play, but it doesn't quite work. 3v2 now, this is Nexus's one time to get into this map, to put up somewhat of a fight here, but Chest, he does not want that to happen. It's back down to an even man count, and Variox pushing up, creeping up. He knows if he can get this one pick, he's basically secured that round for his team. The aggression isn't going to be hurt, isn't going to be thought of. And Becky's taken down. It's all on bot show. It looked so good, Ben. It looked so great, but MVG, they played that round perfectly, right into their trap. But hang on, Variox taken down. There's a chance here. Butcher low on health, doesn't quite see with shots. But Jest makes it work anyway. He gets us on the cusp of thinking that this is the changing, this is the turning point of this map, Ben. And he rips that right away from us. This is still MVG dominance. This is still their map to win 5-0 now.
It's just extra brutal when you think about the way it was done. From that 3 versus 2, it's just claimed his double kill, or his triple kill even in the round. You think, okay, we can slow it down, we can wait a second, we can play on highway, we can try and force out MVG. And yet again, they don't give the breathing room. They're immediately peeking back into cash, going, look, we can try and catch them off. One swing logistics, one swing in the doorway, 2 attackers are on drones. Ishak just gets punished. And you're sat there thinking, this isn't even fair, guys. Give me 3 seconds. Just appreciate the fact that I have just walked in and gotten a triple kill. Like, let me at least be like, breathe. No, you're not given that space. MVG want to close out the first upper bracket quarterfinal as quickly as possible. Why waste time and spend a whole evening when you can do it in, what? We're looking at currently 20 rounds?
Yeah, I mean, here's a fun fact. Map 1 was 10 rounds long. MVG have now won 10 rounds in a row in this series.
5 seconds.
So, yeah, you could have played a whole map of Siege, and a whole map that isn't even particularly one-sided in the amount of time that MVG have just been winning rounds.
Yeah, it's a long time to not taste victory.
There's still time though. I mean, you know, 5-0 is not 7-0. You know, there's still 2 more rounds MVG have to win. Maybe Nexus can mount a bit of a comeback there. Crutching on those shields for certain. They've got Becky wandering into garage now, just providing that intel. The Maverick holes as well could potentially be used to get a bit of an angle onto Aina here, so he has to be
Attackers have
careful.
located a bomb.
They can just isolate this player on the rafters, give themselves some concrete point of access onto the site. There's a chance for a round win here.
Toyed with the idea of throwing a nitrocell through the cracked window, but decided against it in the end. As it might be a little delayed, not quite going to land on target. Nitrocell in the hand as the Monty goes to ADS.
Oh.
Aina gets his gun up ready in time, and sad Becky. Well, that's how you're feeling right now. You lose all that threat. Immediately the sweep coming through as Maduria just jumps onto the doors there. He wants to go for the run out. You just know he wants to go for a run out. Kind of punished. Trixie going for a long angle to flank around to the door, but Kaid backing off. Paying the respect, recognizing they're in such a good position, why give it away?
Looking at these positions as well, but oh my goodness. Okay, that wasn't Aina. Right, okay. Hang on a second. Hang on, Midoriya, calm down. Okay, he's been cool. His jets have officially been cooled, but his teams have not. This just picks up the slack entirely. 1 versus 4. I was going to point out, this is a really one-dimensional approach from Nexus. They gave up on the garage entirely, and that could be their demise. And indeed it was, because MVG just had to peek one wall and killed basically everyone on Nexus. 6-0 now for the reigning, defending ESA Cup champions of MVG.
10 defensive rounds in a row as well. It's pretty scary. That's
Yeah.
across 2 maps, that ain't bad. That ain't bad. And I think it all just started to go wrong when you just look at Betchy not having that support. Why are we sending our Monty all the way up onto rafters with no one on the doorway? The reason this is a good idea is because we just sit on the door, no? We start pushing in underneath. Well, you just go on garage door and you just look up at rafters, and eventually they have to pick. Do they try and fight the Monty, or do they try and fight the guy on the door who's going to gun them down if they fight the Monty? It's supposed to be a lose-lose. But instead, he's given the space, and look, fair play. It was very close to taking down the 2
location of a bomb.
Very close. But Aina, he's been on such good form today. You can't rely on just going for just a naked 1v1. I don't think it's a good enough plan when there's so much resting on taking that control in garage as well.
So many other ways, yeah. You could have had someone on the garage door. You could have invested a bit of that ranged hard breach onto the wall towards catwalk as well. Anything to put a little bit more pressure and make it not a straight flat 1 versus 1 there.
Help his shields out.
Even just go close to him. Get in effective range for a shield. Anything instead. It just seemed like a combination of every bad decision that could have been made there by Nexus happened.
Oh, this is dreadful. Patience. 1 punch move on. Okay. I like the steady hand coming through. Not investing the nitro cell too early on. But they brought the Deimos immediately scanning the Goyo. They know he's downstairs now. Okay, so that's a little bit of space sport for you. The Jackal as well. Look, MVG, they did a good sweep on Skyscraper. The sweep is going to be rapid here. Already opening up the stock hatch. Feel very confident moving to the rest of this floor. With the Bot Jackal duo just cleaning out second. This is incredible pacing.
Still got to get to the basement though, right? It's a full 5-man bunker, so sure, you've gotten rid of those empty floors. Congrats, you've cleared nothing. Now you've got to clear the basement, right? So let's, Nexus77 on out of it. Yeah, this is a really easily defendable site. They've got nitros galore here. So they don't even need to take gunfights to get their kills. They can do it the very easy, good old-fashioned cheesy way. They don't want to risk losing a gunfight. So there's so much going for Nexus here. MVG, we need to see how they choose to adapt this clear towards the basement itself. That's a nice vertical line here to catch anyone getting a little aggressive off that mirror window. They've also got the book to deal with kitchen flooring and the kitchen corridor floor just to limit the movement of the defense further. But you need to see some kind of utility towards getting kitchen hatch open or getting rid of these players who are deep in the armory. You had very simple opportunity to get some kind of damage onto the attack instead, give him the position and loses the hatch. Not a great play there from the mirror, I have to say, as Aina's now getting tunnel open. You can see all these avenues being opened up by the attack, keeping the defense guessing on where they're actually going to push from.
I do really like that as well, right? Making sure you use the aggressive tool. Is that inside of sight? Just drops the hatch and starts gunfighting. pulls out the shotgun, caught from behind as Duet finally able to deal with the fact that the Deimos is in and amongst the thick of it. Still pressure coming in from Dirt. Generator under the control of the attack, but Ishak able to get there in just the amount of time to trade out his fallen teammate. The Nitro Cell plays the bottom lane, instead forces back Very Arcs. Jest goes down 2. This is all falling apart as Nexus look poised to take their first round win. One down on the long. Second just swings in from Dirt, but Duet keeps him at bay, and now 3 angles looking in towards the Bark. He still finds one for Bokovic. Make sure this gets just quietly put to rest. Don't panic yet. 6-1. They got a start here, Joe. They've got their foot in the door.
I guess, yeah, you know, they halted the winning streak. They've done something here. But, you know, it's basement, right? It's that easiest site on the map to defend. Now they're going to have to prove a little bit more to us, right? It's 1 of 6 rounds required just to get it to OT. All the while, MVG are sitting still very, very comfortably. So, in theory, this should still be an MVG map win. This should still be an MVG series win. But if Nexus can just manage to get kind of under the skin maybe of MVG, if they can keep getting wins in their belt, it could put a bit more of that pressure onto MVG themselves, as maybe those thoughts start creeping in of how are we not winning this, right? You've still got to win so many rounds though. And MVG, sure, they've got a 100% defense win rate and only a 50% win rate on the attack. 50% is still going to result in rounds being won here, so we need to see a serious improvement from Nexus here, because there were still problems in that round. As you pointed out, we had Deimos just drop the hatch undeterred, unopposed for around 3 seconds before finally he was dealt with. That is a massive blind spot on the site, and something you really can't afford to have this late into a series. Speaking of mistakes, you've already lost one of your key pieces of utility. That's a Goyo canister taken off the board. That's a bit of time wasting gone. Luckily, there's no friendly fire in the prep phase anymore, but it could have also limited the movement of these players in this prep phase as well. So there was potential massively... There could have been a massive problem, and they're kind of bailed out by the game mechanics here, because if there was still friendly fire,
that'd be so
that
funny.
could have been a disaster.
No, it would have been amusing. I mean, not when you're 1-6 down. Are you an enjoyer of, hey guys, we're 6-0, let's just rush 6 times and hope we win one of them? It's not a sought after strategy. But hey, if you need to win just one, literally just one, maths states eventually you win a round.
MVG
Can't
just
fight
rush for the
statistics.
next 5 rounds. I'm gonna be so mad.
And they just lose 5 rounds.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to attack Clubhouse. They only know how to defend. No, I think we are seeing a much more standard approach, right? They've obviously opened up the cash wall early on. They recognize that they need to come through for this full streak. Take server, take cash, start pushing back construction. Ishak wants to get a little feisty already. And you can understand why. If you're 1-6 down, I think this is the time where you bring out that aggression. You try and hunt a pick down, close out rounds before they're really allowed to begin,
Nice.
and bet you, just like that.
Wonderfully done. It's the sledge, so I guess if you're on the MVG side, it's not the absolute worst, but losing the ace, that's going to be a lot worse of a loss there. 5v3 is Nexus. Starting to feel a little comfortable in this match. The first time we can truly say that. They're going and taking fights on their own terms, and I like that a lot. Still though, we've seen these 3 players on MVG. They've been remarkably talented. Madaria going double digits in map 1. Just a really clutch player in Isan. Getting all those openers back on Skyscraper. If anyone can do it, it can be these 3 players, but still, a lot of ground left to conquer and Entropy, Nexus77. Just playing calm, playing cool. Ishak gets another one, but now they are more than happy to just, as I say, let the map determine things, but they're still going for runouts. Ishak gets another 2, fantastically done from Nexus77 there. Another round on the board, and it was almost a completely different turn of events on that basement site. Instead, a lot more of that roam clear was failing for MVG, so that's a pretty good sign for Nexus. Still need 4 more, though.
I was a little concerned, right, when it's like the 3 versus 5 and Malusi's running up to a window and just shoving her head out to see what's going on outside. Guys, let's chill down. Let's slow it, boys. 3 versus 5. The difficulty in those situations is not fumbling the lead, right? It's like, look, you've finally gotten yourself in the commanding state of a round. You just have to see it through, and aggression's the easiest way to lose it out. Being too timid, lose it out. Perfectly managed to give himself number 2, and we're successfully moving on. But, again, Cash, nah, we ain't about that life. Another bar stage.
Bomb
And
located by
look,
attackers.
everything I said before still is true in my mind, right? You bring it to the awkward site that, yeah, it's supposed to, attacker's supposed to win it out, but do they know how to attack it? Guys, if your opponents have pulled it out on defense, they should know how to attack it as well. And Trixie, this is not ideal.
Sensing that, oh, never mind. I was going to
No,
say, sensing
Witcher,
the potential for a bit of a
also,
rehost.
when you're
but-
at 9 ping, it's always a dodgy one, because it's like, are you going to just
10
disappear
seconds
out of nowhere? But no. Just a site. We'll ignore it. We move
5
past
seconds
it.
left.
Doesn't even count.
Seeing a very aggressive lineup for
Attackers
MBG
are
here.
heading out.
Nothing in terms of hard destruction whatsoever. We've got a lot of frags. We've got a lot of good guns. This might just be a very simple horizontal take of them just seeing if they can kill everyone. They're not playing too much into the site setup itself. That could also be a big risk, because if you can't dislodge some of these critical defenders, particularly on that top floor, then you're going to have a really difficult time actually executing onto bar itself. Surely not.
Pokes the head out, but doesn't see that there's a second also gunning for the kill in the window, and Nissan, he's done it so many times this series, has given the lead early on to Molotov Gaming, and well, another creeping up through the basement. Vidaria on that nook as well, so able to hide away from the cameras. Great way to get onto those main stairs. A position that can really catch off the defense if you get them unawares. Wool left soft in the strip as well. That's a gift over to the Ash with the breaching charges and the breaching rounds. So much self-destruction to remove castle barricades and wooden walls alike.
Yeah, that's a lot of the security of this site already taken out as Madarius just creeping up main on that knock, unseen by cams. Almost got seen there, but still takes out Becky. No, he can just retreat as well, stay alive if need be. He's forced that Echo out of position, who does manage to take down Isan, so that's something, but still, the Echo is such a crucial part of this defense. He's been taken down early, 2 versus 4. It was a gamble by MBG and it paid off, but Nexus, they try the same thing. They try to replicate the greatness of their opponents by taking them to bar. It doesn't work out. It's a 1 versus 4. It looks like the defending champs are going to advance onto those semi-finals. MBG, a fantastic map of Clubhouse shown here before us.
It was complete dominance from start to finish, Joe. There was never a doubt in the minds of MBG who was winning this round out. You love to see a team that comes in and just says, look guys, we're here to play, deal with us. And MBG just made them have to. Nexus just boxed out on that defense. Flawless 6-0 half, by the way. A flawless 6-0 half, and eventually, look, you just wear them down. Look, Nexus get a couple good rounds in there, some nice defenses. You have to go to that tertiary. And they had the plan coming in. You're looking at the lineup with 0 hard breach, all comfy guns, and they just know where they need to put the pressure on. It's all focused on the backside. Let's get into strip. Let's start applying pressure through pool and bathroom. We can use the window. We can play from both outside watching the staircase. The flank watch is still there at the end of the round because they know eventually you have to come downstairs, Joe.
Yep.
Like Molotov, just a phenomenal understanding of how they need to attack that site. Love to see it. Very nice when we see like the sites, you know, the unorthodox ones, the bar stocks get brought out and then played well.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a insane feat of dominance there from MBG. 11 rounds won in a row across 2 maps. A 100% defensive win rate in a series. Just crazy statistic. Really well done from them. They had, and considering the hurdles they had in those skyscraper attacks, where it seemed like maybe they spent all their energy right at the start and we're going to end up trailing in that half. They managed to clutch things up at the very end, round 6 of map 1, and from there, they just won so many rounds. There was no signs of any kind of stopping until it came down to a bit of a flimsy attack onto the basement, a bit of a flimsy attack onto bedroom as well. But the moment they saw the opportunity of bar and stock, they just took it in their stride and just went back to their winning ways. Fantastically done for MVG there. As for Nexus, not out of it yet. They've still got that lower bracket to go through, so their journey in the ESA Cup Season X doesn't quite end here yet, but it gets a hell of a lot harder.
Yeah, and you're up against Sync as well early on. Should be a pretty good game. It's not. It's gonna be a difficult one. Again, I mean, this is our playoffs, guys. This is our playoffs. You have to bring your A game to every single matchup, and that's what MolotovGang did. Entropy for them next. That should also be a really entertaining game. I mean, I think this upper bracket is going to be a slog for whoever makes it to the final undefeated. Like, you are going to be well deserving of getting to save that extra game you have to play, getting there sooner, getting to stake out your opponents, your competition for a little bit longer. There is going to be a great little reward to have at the end of that. You get to sit and breathe. But it's still a little bit of a run. 2 more games if MolotovGang want to be the team that's there. I mean, I don't know. This bracket, I'm looking forward to it. Should be pretty interesting to see how this pans out for the rest of the week.
That's 2 of our 3-2 teams as well, making it through. These higher seeded teams still trailing. And throughout the rest of this week, as you said, we're going to see if that curse continues, right? You've got that first seed of Ghost Army up against another 3-2 team in Crown Zero. Could the streak continue? Okay. Could these lower seeded teams maybe find a way to make things, to get back into things, get into their winning ways? Because, I mean, two isn't a trend as of yet, but if the third one of these higher seeded teams fumbles in the upper quarterfinals, I could start pointing at some curses happening here.
Maybe. I mean, hey, look, if you want to be part of finding out, you know where you have to be. It's on your screen right now. Come back tomorrow, same time, same place. Ghost Army against Crown Zero Console in our third upper bracket quarterfinal matchup. Should be a bit of a banger. Joe, it's been lovely, but we only had the one game this evening. I mean, I say only the one game. We had a best of 3. It was honestly a little quicker than I thought coming in. But that's credit to MolotovGang, right? They've come in, they've wanted to put it to bed. They wanted to show, look, guys, we had a little bit of a stumble during Swiss, a bit of ups and downs, but we are back and we are here to play, and they are not messing around. They're waiting for their up bracket semi-final, but we still have the rest of the quarterfinals tomorrow and on Thursday. So make sure you're back for those. I've been Colin Molly. I've been joined by the ever wonderful Pooble on this side of me. Thank you for joining us this evening. We hope you've had a lovely time and at least enjoyed a dominant performance. And hey, look, Nexus, they had a great start to that skyscraper. Plenty of positives to take away from today. And they aren't out yet. They still have that lower bracket run. And everyone loves rooting for a miracle run. Everyone loves rooting for an underdog. So maybe we get to see a rematch later on in the playoffs. That would be kind of fire. We get to see them back at it again. Either way, thank you. We've had a lovely evening. Hope you have had too. And we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.